What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, we'll always send you. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. Speaking of partying with the people, I have Jane Kaschak on the line today and on the program today. My goodness, I'm tongue-tied and twisted. Jane Kaschak, she'll be on the program today of Myidentityband and Whataboutjane. What's that? What, you've never heard of that? Well, you're going to hear a whole lot more in the next few minutes, so stick around for that. Yes. This week's show's on Thursday night. I was going to be at the Cedar Lounge, but I have B-Rock at the Cedar Lounge in Morrilton, Arkansas from 6 to 10. So I encourage you, if you're anywhere in the Morrilton area, Thursday night from 6 to 10, I encourage you to head out there for the video dance party karaoke jam with my guest DJ, B-Rock. Get there. And then on Friday night, I'll be at my regular Friday night gig, which is the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Yes, the video dance party karaoke jam. I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. All I'm doing is pressing buttons. It's what I do. I press buttons and I play the background music. But I put you up on stage. You provide the entertainment at the karaoke show. Yeah, at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. That's 8 p.m. until about 1 a.m. They got a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So get involved with that if you so desire. Always a good time at the Rab on Friday night. And then Saturday, I have a wedding. So unless you're invited, you cannot come. But the reason I mention it, because I'm excited. I love weddings. I'm so stoked that weddings are coming back. I'm starting to get booked. Well, I'm pretty much booked up for the rest of the year. And then I'm starting to get booked up throughout the middle of next year. So if you have a wedding coming up, you better book quickly because I'm getting very popular. I'm still very popular. Yay! I'm so happy to be a part of people's wedding days. Yes, indeed. And I'm happy to be a part of this show. And I'm happy to be talking to Jane Kaschak. I need to get a hold of her. If you're just listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version because I got her on Skype and you'll be able to see her lovely face right next to mine. Oh, yeah. So let's Skype Jane Kaschak now.
How are you today, Dan?
I'm super duper. My goodness, what a day. You know, people that have day jobs, I have my insurance job, which is the day job, and then I have my fun jobs, the podcast, the DJ jobs, the radio jobs. Yes, the day job wants to occupy some of my time, and today was a rare occasion when they wanted to go past the time that I usually schedule these podcasts. I appreciate your patience, Jane Kaschak. Kaschak or Kaschak?
Kaschak.
Kaschak. I had it right the first time. Jane Kaschak, you are a very patient person. I've made you wait almost an hour and a half to have a conversation about Myidentityband and what's that all about. Give the people a little idea of who you are.
Sure. First of all, I want to give a big shout out to everybody there in Arkansas and in Florida.
The world.
I'm Jane Kaschak. Whataboutjane and Myidentityband. I have 2 CDs with the band and the guys. And I also do my solo Whataboutjane, and I have 2 CDs and a new release that's coming out as well.
What? How long you been doing this? How long have you been performing? Is this something that you've done from an early age? And where are you at and where are you from?
I'm from Florida, Largo, Florida. Right now, our Tampa Bay Rays are going for hopefully the World Series right now tonight. They're playing if they win. So I'm from Tampa, Florida. And I know I wish I had knew that I had this kind of talent as far as my playing guitar and singing when I was a lot younger. But no, my mother passed away in 2006, and I just started writing and writing and writing and writing. And I wrote 100 songs. And I would say I wrote probably for about 3, 4 years. And then my cousin, Dave Sampson, who is the bass player in Myidentityband, he said, I'm going to put a band around you and we're going to do some original music. So at that point, he did put the band, which is Jeremy Strait, Stacy Johnson, and myself, are Myidentityband. And we have completed 2 CDs. I have the first CD, Is It Me or You? And that one I have out everywhere. And the second CD, Time Flies By, is getting ready to go on iTunes and Spotify. And the only way you could basically listen to that CD is through the radio.
Okay. Okay. Well, that gives me a little idea of who you are. First of all, sorry that your mother passed away in 2006. It's never late enough. It's always too soon when your parents pass away. Myself, I'm very lucky. I'm very fortunate. I have my, I guess a 71-year-old mother and my 91-year-old grandmother still kicking it. And they're not in Largo, Florida. They're in Key Largo, Florida. That's where I'm from, the Florida Keys, which is where Keys Dan comes from. But I have spent some time in Largo, in that area, and Tampa. I remember Tampa being a real, I guess, Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds was big in Tampa when he was alive. Did he live there? Because it seemed like the whole place was taken over by Smokey and the Bandit and all kinds of Burt Reynolds, Longest Yard, everything Burt Reynolds. Is that a thing? Is that still a thing?
Yes, it is. He actually had a condo, which is over on Bel Air, which is probably about 15 minutes from my home. And he lived there for the longest time. I believe that he still owns that property, still in the family and everything. So a lot of people would go out to the beach there and congregate. And of course, Smokey the Bandit was really big.
Yeah. So when your mother passed away, you started writing. Was that something that was therapeutic to you? Is that something that you've always done? Maybe you were a writer when you were a kid, or is that something that you said, you know what, I need to get through this? What was it that made you start writing songs?
Well, my mother was a keyboard player. So every year, Christmas, whatever holidays, I was always the singer. My mother was the keyboard player my whole life. But I was doing other things in life. And when my mother passed away, and I started writing, I was out mowing my yard, and I felt, just to get some tension off, and I felt something drop on my arm. And I looked up, no bird, no rain, and I said to myself, that is a teardrop falling from the sky. And at that moment, I turned that lawnmower off. I went into my garage where I write all my music, and I wrote my song Teardrop in 5 minutes. I couldn't even put my hand fast enough.
You never know what's going to be your muse. A teardrop from heaven or from the sky made you write a song.
Correct. I felt a teardrop fall on me from the sky. And I wrote that song, and I had it for years, a couple of years. And then when my cousin put the band around me, they said, Jane, we're putting music to that. And I got very blessed, and I got to sing the Teardrop song on CBS Morning Show, our Channel 10 network here locally. And I was the musical guest that morning, and I sang Teardrop for my mother, and I nailed it.
How long after 2006 did you do this? Because you said you weren't really playing as a musician. Had you played guitar before, or is this something that you just took up in 2006?
No, I didn't even take it up in 2006. I didn't even start with the band until about 2011. We did 2 CDs. The first CD, Rock and Roll, with my Teardrop, is sort of a rock and roll but beautiful. Then our second CD was more or less like Janis Joplin meets Metallica.
That gives me visions. That gives me an idea of what's happening. Man, I could imagine that. I could imagine that.
I figured out.
You're soulful. You have like a soulful sound on the singing, on the vocals, backed by a hard rocking band. And so, how many pieces are in My Identity Band?
We have 4. The
Shout
bass
them out.
player.
Shout them out.
The bass player is my cousin. That's Dave Sampson. Then I have the drummer, which is Jeremy Strait. And the lead guitarist is Stacy Johnson. And then myself, the singer and songwriter, Jane Kaschak.
Man, so Sampson, he said, man, how did he figure out that you were a good singer? And how long did it take for you to get your guitar playing done, good enough to where you felt, hey, let me go to an open mic or get in front of a mic, in front of some people, or go practice? How long did it take for you to get proficient enough on the guitar or in the singing to get yourself comfortable? Was it all the way from 2006 to 2011?
No. I didn't even start playing really into the guitar till about 2013. I like I said, I have over 100 songs. I'm a hardcore songwriter.
Yeah, okay? You are.
So I have some songs that are pretty, that I feel could be pretty. So at that point, I went out and bought me a guitar, and I self-taught myself.
How did you teach yourself? Give the people an idea. This is primarily a learning podcast, and we're learning from you, Jane Kaschak.
Sure. When I say I'm self-taught, I bought a guitar. I sat there. I played the chords. I spoke to a few musicians that play guitar. And I had a musician tell me, which is Stacy, my guitar player, he said, Jane, the guitar has so many chords on it. If it sounds good and your voice goes to it, it's a chord. And I said, really? And that was it. I just went from there. And in the beginning, I really didn't even know my chords. I just knew how to play a song.
Yeah, but who taught you? Who taught you chords? Was this a YouTube thing, or was this you? Hey, how do you play that? How do you play that? How were you learning these chords?
I went old school. I got a book, and I just learned my basic chords. And then I just started playing and strumming and listening to sound, all with my ear. Everything is with my ear. I play all original music. I don't have much time in life, as you said. We have a lot of things that take up our time, to make things, but I always find time for my music. And that little bit of time that I get, I choose to write music. Yeah. I ask a lot of musicians every day. I ask them, I said, now, if I don't play a lot of cover songs, but I sit down and I write about 30 original songs on my guitar, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
And what do they say? What's the response? Yeah.
Every musician, some musicians would say, Jane, if you are writing original music and it's coming and it's coming and it's coming, then don't spend time on covers. And then I have the musicians that tell me maybe you should spend time on covers and it will help you write your music. But I want to have an original sound. What about Jane?
If you got it coming and coming and coming, I think the original advice, the first guy's advice, the first person's advice was the right advice. If you got music that's coming out of you, it's inside you, you got to get it out. 100 songs, that is prolific. But I haven't ever written one song. I have ideas. I mean, I have experiences. I don't know how to put them to music. And when you say you write songs, are you writing the poems or are you writing the melodies? Do you know how to read music and write music on a piece of paper? I guess that's really old school. I guess the kids are using the computers, or man, I think I've heard somebody has said, once you play the chords into certain apps, it will write the song for you. How do you do it, Jane Kaschak?
That is, it comes from within inside. I do believe it's a gift. Because I can actually sit down and write a song and complete that song, probably within 30 to 40 minutes. And then after it's complete, then I'll play it for a full week until it's just, I can just close my eyes.
But how are you playing it? Right? The song, okay, I'm guessing the melody is already in your head. You could probably sound it out, da 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 da, But then how do you get it on chords? You say you play by ear. That in itself is a gift. I have 4 guitars in this house. I can play 2 chords. I don't have that gift. I have a cousin, Timmy, that plays by ear. He hears something on the radio. Oh, that's a new song. Let me get my guitar. Bam. Perfect. Pitch perfect. Is that something that you can do?
Now, no. Just to pick up and play someone's cover, probably not so much, because I haven't really put the time and effort into that. The time and effort I put into it is using my ear. My ear is my melody. My melody will come inside my head, and every song I can sing a cappella with a melody. And then at that point, I twist that melody into the guitar.
Fantastic.
Very, very much a blessing. It's very hard to explain, but it is a magical moment. And most of my songs take me no more than 40 minutes and some 10 to 15 minutes.
Well, Jane, do you have a belief system? Do you believe it comes from somewhere? Is it Mother Earth? Is it a divine being? Is it, or is it something that was genetic? What do you feel? How do you feel this comes to you?
Well, I will be honest with you. When I do write my music, I do lock myself in my garage with just myself, and I usually write all my music on Sunday morning. And it is an overwhelming feeling. I would say it's almost like an out-of-body experience, to be honest with you, because you're so in tune with that guitar and picking out melodies and just pushing down the strings and finding chords that you don't even know what they are. If you ask me what chord is that, but I can bring this melody, bring these chords to my voice and put them in a systematic format and turn it into a song. And it's amazing. I don't want to quit. I want to do this for the rest of my life.
Man, I talk to so many musicians that do not know how to read music. So many professional musicians, prolific musicians. And you, with 100 songs out there, are they all recorded and produced? Or how many songs are out there recorded and produced?
Well, I have 4 CDs right now. 2 with the band and 2 solo myself. Whataboutjane?
Whataboutjane?
They are. I do have right now. I have Radio Wigwam in the UK is playing Myidentityband and Whataboutjane, both of them.
Yes.
I also have Frequency Radio in the UK that's playing both of Whataboutjane and Myidentityband.
Say that last one again. Wait, say that last one again, because I think it cut out a little bit. The one in the UK?
Fantasy Radio UK. And then also Marshall Stacks Radio. They're all internet radios in the UK. He is playing the Myidentityband and also the Whataboutjane. And then KB Radio in Canada has also picked up Myidentityband.
That's got to feel good. Well, I need to get a hold of those tracks and put them on radiowhat.com, which is sitting right behind me. And we'll get some Whataboutjane and some Myidentityband on the rotation for sure. All right. So, man, I want to get off the music a little bit, because you alluded to, you just started your music career in 2013, but you had a whole life before that. What were you into before that? What did you want to be when you grew up? I'm class of 86. You're not supposed to ask a woman's age, but what year did you graduate high school?
84.
84. We've chewed a lot of the same dirt. All right. So in 84, you graduate high school. What am I going to be when I grow up? What did you end up being? What did you do in high school? What's a young Jane like in high school?
A young Jane, as you can tell, I have the gift of gab. So I had a lot of friends, a lot of popularity. I love to fish. I'm a fishing woman. I live in Florida with all of our water. And I'm also an artist. I draw. I draw. And I'm self taught at that as well. I've never taken a drawing lessons.
You ever
And
had
I
art
have
class?
created a couple of my CD albums with my drawings.
That's cool. So, what's your medium? What do you what do you like to draw on, or is it oil or watercolors or sculpting? What do you do?
Basically, color pencil. Probably could work for Disney if I wanted to, without never having a class for that. Um, I I just have that eye where I see it and I draw it. And I'm also in the medical field too, so I'm a person that I care for people.
I was a paramedic for 10 years down in the Florida Keys. I was in Key Largo Fire Department. It was great from 89 to
Thank
99.
you. Thank you for all you've done in that area.
Well, what are you doing in the medical field?
I work with the senior citizens.
That's fantastic. Ah, that is one of our best resources. Once you get to a certain age, you become a teacher. You know what? I guess I've gotten over the hump. I'm 51 years old, so I feel like I need to start imparting some of this knowledge that I've gained over the years, and I want to suck some of the knowledge from the people that I get to talk to, and that's what I'm doing from you, Jane Kaschak. I must have pronounced it 5 different ways here. What's that?
You're good. Good. You got it perfect. The funny thing is, my father says Kaschak and my mother said Kaschak. So it's always a funny thing in my whole family. That's why I'm laughing. So either way, my mother's happy and my father's happy. So it works well.
Fantastic. How was Dad growing up? Yeah. Let me know what the parents, what the family life was. With Jane Kaschak growing up.
Sure. My father, he is a Korean War vet, Army, still with us, 90, and he is an amazing father. He was an amazing husband, and I'm a big daddy's girl. I can tell you that right now. So great idol he was and still is. And my mother, she always loved her music. She played keyboards, pianos, anything with keys on it. She loved it, and she did everything by ear. She didn't read it or write it, but she did everything by ear. And I don't know why I never got to play an instrument in the family. She always made me the singer.
Okay, so you did sing as a child. You were the singer in the family. When she was playing, she accompanied you while you were singing. What kind of songs were you singing with your mom?
Oh my goodness. Well, I can tell you, I know all her songs. I would surprise you. That's why I get along with those seniors. My mother would play everything. She would play Christmas music to the oldies to what was ever popular. My mother loved music. She never did anything with her music except share it with the family. And I do also have an aunt, my Aunt Billy, which I love dearly, and she played guitar. And I do have her guitar strap on my guitar that my Aunt Dolly gave me. And she recently gave it to me. And I'll tell you, that's my magical guitar strap because I've wrote a lot of music with that.
Oh, I imagine so. All right. I always find that there's kernels, if not, it runs deep. You have genetic blood in your veins of creative people, but you have an aunt and a mom that were creating music, but not professionally. Did they create together? Did they accompany each other from time to time?
Oh, those are some of my best memories. They would actually get together. My Aunt Dolly, who sang, and then my Aunt Billy would play guitar, and my mother, who would do keyboards, and they would go out to the elderly homes, the LFs, and they would throw a concert for them. and they videoed it. So those are my fondest video memories that I have. I have plenty of videos of my mom and my two aunts playing at the LF for the elderly people. That's what they would do on their spare time.
Have you accumulated these videos and put them, made them digital and put them out on YouTube? That would be a great page, something to attribute to your family. That's fantastic.
That's a great idea, Dan. You're brilliant. You know what? I might run with that. I might have to go get that and get it put into a DVD and then maybe throw myself in after it. Yeah. You know, something I can put together.
Oh my goodness. Is there any video of you as a little girl accompanying your mom or your aunt at all? Any of that?
No, not really. No, I know, but that would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Yes. Oh, well, you got your memories, and that's a wonderful thing in itself. You have fond memories of playing with your family. That's like an old-fashioned thing. Before radio, before records, before anything, I watch these old movies, even the new movies, that are period pieces from the 1800s and the 1700s, and they gather in the front room, and hey, little Jane, she's going to play piano, and Billy's going to sing, something like that. But it seems really old fashioned, but it sounds like you've had family gatherings with your mom and oh my goodness, and your aunt and yourself playing with it for each other. And did you have anybody else in the family? Any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have two sisters. Now, Dan, they're going to love this one. My mother had my middle sister. She did the accordion with her, and they used to compete in competitions. And my other oldest sister, Kathleen, she was a tap dancer, and she was wonderful at it. She actually did competitions and won very highly in it.
Oh my goodness! All right, so your mom had visions, ideas of filling her house with music and talented people and really bringing out your talents. Did you come up to her and start singing, or did she tell you, hey, why don't you start singing? Whose idea was it?
Well, that's a good one there. Of course it was my mother's. She was pruning her daughters. She had the singer, the musician player with the accordion, and the dancer. Okay. Yeah, she couldn't have one that did all three. She had to separate them out. Okay, no, you're my singer, you're my accordion player, you're my dancer. Was there any blending of the lines? Or I guess now you're a musician and a singer. Can you do you do any? I know I'm doing a sidetrack here. Do you do any solo efforts where you kind of go to coffee shops and accompany yourself? Are you that proficient? Do you feel that confident to do that? What do you mean go to solo shops?
Well, I mean, like play your guitar and accompany yourself as a solo act with is that the Whataboutjane?
That is the Whataboutjane. Absolutely. My solo act is prospering very, very well. Like I said, all the radio stations, I send them one of the band and one of the solo act. And my solo act, I have a Newtown song I wrote for the tragedy in Newtown. And I can tell you, I wrote that song in 15 minutes on a Sunday morning after watching the short clip about the first year reunion of the shooting in Newtown.
Refresh my memory about this. No, refresh my memory. Tell me about Newtown. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, they had the high school shooting the elementary in Sandy Hook, Newtown.
Okay, I remember Sandy Hook. I remember it referred to as Sandy Hook, but Newtown. Okay.
Their anniversary, and I was watching that on Good Morning America on my Sunday morning. I turned that off, and I wrote this song that I named Newtown, and it is playing on all the radio stations that I mentioned to you. They all picked it up, and the UK loves it. I did put a video with it. It is on YouTube. Amazing amount of response on it. And that song is my solo act. And I do go locally around here in this area, in the Largo, Seminole, Clearwater area. and I will play and sing all my original music for anyone that wants to listen.
That's fantastic. I noticed that you do have a Jane Kaschak YouTube. I've subscribed to that one. Is there a Myidentityband YouTube as well?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to find that one. But I'm so jealous that some of the other radio stations are playing it. One of the things I like to do is, well, I'm a DJ, and when I was in Florida, in South Florida, when I was working the clubs, one of my favorite things to do was to, yes, I'll play some of the hits, but then every once in a while, throw in a local band or throw in somebody new, and people will go, "Hey, that's pretty catchy. I like that." Depending on what kind of a show I'm doing. If I'm doing a rock show or if I'm doing a dance show, I'd find a band that I'd like to break through, and that's it's something that a DJ is supposed to do. I have no talent of my own. I push buttons. I put a record on a turntable and announce this record, but the musician that's on that record needs to have the total credit. And all the musicians that gather together. When you're a solo, it seems like that's probably a little easier to pick up a guitar and go out, busk, and go play at a little coffee shop. But to get three other people together, that's got to be a whole other bag. What's your experience in putting a band together? And has this band been together since 2013 in its form right now?
Yes, we are just doing all the originals with the Myidentityband. And when we went and played on CBS, our morning show, like you said, it is something to get a whole band together. You got to get them all to agree. You can't be stage fright. We're going on TV. It'll be okay. When it's just you and your guitar, you just pick up your guitar, say, put the light on, camera, action. I'm here and I'm ready. And when you do have a group of people together, and as you know, in a band, it takes all four of us to make that music. You need all four people.
But that Good Morning America on CBS wasn't the first time that you played, right? You had played some other gigs before that, right?
Yes, we played locally. We did a CD release party of our first CD. We had about 200 people that showed up, almost 250 that showed up. I didn't think they thought we were going to have that many. They actually had to call more people in for parking cars. They had to park cars for you. That was at the Purpose Pub. We did our CD release party, and it was a phenomenal day that I'll never forget. And as well, when we played on the TV station, they gave us a date, and it was my mother's birthday.
They gave you that date. That's kismet.
Yeah, my mom.
Oh, that's fantastic. So who's helping you to record these CDs? Is that your cousin, or is that a recording studio? How are you putting these tracks together?
I'll give a big shout out to Jimbo at Sweet Spot Studios in Seminole. Love you, Jimbo. You're the man. Jimbo is my recording guy that I go to, Sweet Spot Studios. I do all my recording with him.
With the band and as a solo?
And as a solo, correct. Yep, Jimbo is the man.
So what kind of input, what kind of help does he give you? Because I know a lot of songwriters will come in with an idea, but it takes a certain kind of person to help you to flesh out the good parts of that song. Does he let you go and then put something together after, or does he give you little notes as the song producing goes?
That's a good one, Dan. Thank you for asking. When I went into the studio, which was, only like 9 years ago, I went into the studio. First time ever being in the studio, being this new musician. And I'm real green. And he's doing my soundtrack. And he says, you know what, Jane? Usually when I have my singers come in here, I'm going to show you this. You got the little bars that bump up and down. Usually I got to run the machine across, which cuts off where they go too high or, cuts it off a little bit. He goes, sometimes when my singers come in, I have to cut so much off, I hope they don't have to play out live. Because when they're singing, they're going up and down, and he runs that bar across.
See, I don't run a recording studio, but I think that's called a compressor. I know that when I do the recordings for the podcast, I will compress, cut off the tops and the bottoms of the voice, so it comes out nice and level.
Yes, and he brought me over and he said, all your songs with your singing, and I'm green, never been in a studio before a day of my life. He said, I don't have to cut one thing from you. I don't know how you just stay right in there, but it's a great job.
Well, that in itself is amazing. Jimbo was impressed, and I'm impressed. Color me impressed. Wow. Jane Kaschak, you had been singing with your parent, with your mom. Well, what did your dad think about the singing? Being a vet of Korea. Thank you for that. And what did he do in his daily life once he got out of the armed services? What was he?
Yeah, certainly. He's known as Bud the TV Man. He's locally here in this area, Pinellas County, Florida. He's been a TV man for over 60 years with his own business. He's serviced every one of my friends' TVs, parents, all their grandparents, all through this neighborhood, and everybody knows him as Bud the TV Man.
That's so funny. Great.
And he's so proud of me. But I will tell you, my father, the best part about him is when I do all my copywriting, before I go anywhere, I do my copywriting. My father does all my filming for me of my copywriting that I send into Washington, D.C. So he's my copywriting guy.
Hey, tell the people about copywriting. That sounds like an important thing. Some people, songwriters, they get dealt a bad hand by unsportsmanlike people if they don't know the business side of how to protect themselves. What's copywriting? What's that all about?
Correct. I would definitely recommend that you copyright your music before you go into the studio. And that's at copyright.gov. You can go there. They now are a little more modern, where you don't have to mail in what they would call a deposit. A deposit is your music, whatever you're going to put on the CD. May it be a cappella, may it be with music, without, and you would send that in with your check or money. And then about 6 months later, you're going to get a certificate that is going to be your certificate of your copyright, which I keep all mine in my safety deposit box in my bank.
Wow.
And that is very important to do your copyright. So you need to find someone like my father who you would trust doing that copyright that you're sending off. So the only one in the world that has that is me and the copyright company. That's it. And then once you have that copyright, now I did mention it takes 6 months to get your certificate. However, when you send your copyright, make sure you do it certified mail so that you can track it. The day that it arrives there and it's postmarked that they've received it is the day that you can promote your music. You don't have to wait till you get your certificate.
So you're giving words of wisdom. So if you put out a song on SoundCloud or put it up on YouTube, you're not covered? Somebody could steal that song?
I wouldn't chance it. I copyright all my music. I would recommend anyone to copyright their music before they put it out there.
That sounds so smart. And because you're making so many original songs, you haven't played covers. You haven't taken the time to learn a cover because you have so much music in you that's pouring out of you. Never ever learn a cover. I mean, every once in a while in a concert, you might want to play a little bit of a song that you heard, a favorite of yours. But what kind of music are you growing up with? You say you got Christmas music. You had whatever your mom was playing on the piano. What kind of music are you growing up to? What are your influences?
I did actually learn a Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin.
Why would
Because
you?
whenever I'm out and I'm singing, what's the first thing everyone's going to say to me is, "Oh my goodness, can you please play a Janis Joplin with that voice?" And at that point, I cannot disappoint people, okay? So I have to break out a Janis Joplin song.
Now,
So I did learn Janis Joplin and Tom Petty.
Now, is this when you're solo as What About Jane, or when you're with the My Identity Band? Do you break out Bobby McGee, Rock It Out? Because you said you had that Janis Joplin meets what, Metallica.
Yeah, no, when I'm with the guys and they want to do a cover, it's like we're going to play Metallica, we're going to play heavy.
Is that something that you grew up on? Because Metallica came out in '88 and just burst on the scene. Were you liking them back then, or did you catch up with them, like a couple years later down the road?
No, I have been a true rock and roll girl. In my younger years, I was a Pat Benatar, Heart, and then I went right into my favorite local band from years back is Sabotage, and they are very heavy metal.
Oh, man.
Megadeth, Metallica, Terra, you name it. Every single heavy metal.
You mentioned
Diamond, all of them.
You mentioned Heart. I think I saw them back in '84, '85 at the Hollywood Sportatorium in Hollywood, Florida. And I can't remember. Well, was it? I guess it was Ann that played the guitar. Well, she came down from the rafters. Bam, bada, bam, bada, bam, bada, bam, bada, bam, 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 bam. Wow! Just from the rafters. Nancy was already on stage, ready to sing. Bam, bam, bam. Oh my goodness! What a way to start the show. And then just they went off for it seemed like hours. What a great act! But I mean, what concerts were you in? Childs of the '80s. We had the best music ever. Some people would argue, but I think we had the best music ever. I can still, whenever I DJ parties, the first thing I do is I start with the '80s and I work my way out. I'll go back to the '70s if I got older people. I go up to the '90s and 2000s if I got younger people. But start at the '80s. If you don't know where to start.
Yes. And of course, I'm always trying to give a shout out to all the women rockers out there. Because, we all need to support each other. All those women rockers that are out there, you definitely need to support each other. It's very important that you do that. I know we got Joan Jett just made the Hall of Fame, Rock Hall of Fame. Hello, finally. I go to the Hard Rock here in Tampa, and I walk all through that Hard Rock, and there must be over 500 pictures, and I would solidly say maybe 20 are women.
Yeah. So you have to realize that is history. That yes, I do appreciate the rockin' women. Whenever I play, hey, there's even theme nights that I'll do, women of rock, or But I think I think Miley Cyrus has got something to do in the Hall of Fame coming up this year or so. But hey, I guess she's a woman of rock. I mean, she's done a lot of things. But I like the Hall of Fame. I do, and I'm glad that Pat Benatar made it in. But there are a lot of women who rock, and you're one of them. You're definitely one of them. You've gotten inspiration from them, and you've become them. What about Jane? Jane Kaschak? And that's your family name. No love in your life. Did you ever get married?
No, my mother always said I was the smart one out of the three daughters.
Okay, so your sisters are married and off living their lives and doing things. Well, I mean, did they ever make careers with the accordion and the tap dancing at all?
No, absolutely, they did not. They did not. And none of them did that.
You're the one that pursued this. Well, you have the day job that keeps the lights on. I guess it's steady, but then that affords you the ability to do the night job. Once you get off work and you punch that clock, you become What About Jane. You become part of the My Identity Band, and it's like a switch. I'm sure, as I know it's a switch for me. When I punch out the clock, I'm a whole nother person, and your creative juices flow. Do you have a little studio in your house that you can record at least little demos in case the urge hits you?
Oh yes, I do. When I write my songs, I got a little Zoom box. That's what I use as a Zoom box. I recommend everyone go out and get themselves a Zoom box.
Well, like a recorder,
digital.
like a Zoom recorder.
A Zoom recorder.
I have one. I have the Pro H4N Pro, I think is what it's called. But it has mic jacks. You can plug in a microphone. You could plug in a guitar amp if you need to, and record right on your Zoom. It's really cool. It really, really is.
That helps with writing a lot of music. That way you can capture. Because those times when me and the band are just jamming and we got the Zoom just running and you're jamming and jamming and jamming, and then you go back the next day and you listen to it, you send it to everybody, and then the next night you go in and then you tweak that sound that you came out the other day. A lot of times, a lot of bands will just play, and then you don't record it, so you really can't build on it, because the next night you're like, what were we doing last night? What did we jam? How did we jam that when you're trying to write original music? And to me, I even do that in my solo world. I'll start to write a song, I'll turn that Zoom on, and then I'll listen back to it, and then I can listen to it myself and then tweak it, and then it becomes the song.
Oh man, whatever it takes to get your to get the creative juices from start to finish, as it starts in your head, it starts in your heart, it starts in your coming up from your soul, whatever you would call it, that it comes from inside of you, but then it gets out on the guitar. But how do you translate it to the band? Do you have to play it for them? You have to kind of sing it out for them, because you're not writing music. You don't write music. How does the band get to know what you're wanting them to play?
Oh, I can't give all the secrets out, but I can tell you, you being the songwriter and the singer, you have to be able to mesh and melt into every form of music. And you have to learn to put those words in there, because when you're a musician, you're playing the music, you're not really thinking about the words. When you're the songwriter and the singer, your top priority are putting words into music. When the guys are playing music, I learned to put that into different styles of music, and then back to the Zoom. You listen to it, you tweak it, it gives you better ideas. You can remember what you did last night when you were jamming and all locked up in the jam room.
See, it's good that you actually listen to what you recorded, because I talked to some comedians that record their sets and then they'll never listen to them. How are you going to get any better if you don't listen? You go, oh, you know what? I could have played that a little bit different. Now I'm looking at the artwork that you have, and for those that are listening to the audio version of this, I encourage you to check out the video version on my YouTube page and see some of the artwork that you got there. You have a little guitar there, but then I'm looking to just behind you, there looks like a painting of some kind. And do you have your artwork up in your house?
Yes. That is some of my work in my house.
Wow, it looks gorgeous.
I love my art. I love to do art as well. It's very soothing. But my first love is my music. Like I said, I do all my copywriting. I tweak all the songs to get it there. I do all my promoting. I write the music. I'm willing to sing my music, speak my music to anyone that wants to listen. And that's the true passion, is the all around, from the tip of my toes to the top of my head.
Jane, we don't have to be just one thing. I want people to know about your art as well. Have you ever had your art displayed anywhere, or art for sale? Has anybody shown interest in it, or have you done any art shows? Have you done anything like that?
No, I really haven't done any art shows. I've done a lot of art and given them to family and friends, and I'm a very kind person, and I believe in giving the gifts of what you have to people. And since I'm not, I had to make a line, art or my music at this point in my life. Art's drawing and things have just been fun, but I've never done nothing serious with it. My music is a whole nother ball game. That's the passion, that's the blessing. And I'm going to write and write until I can give someone listens to my songs. And if it can make you feel emotion, some people cry, some people laugh, some people smile, then I've done my job.
Well, you got me smiling, Jane Kaschak, and you sang a little bit. It put chills up my spine a little earlier. That was great. Now, the artwork that you do give away to your family and your friends, I am sure that they're going to cherish it. And my goodness, it's like an extra added bonus. We just saw Jane sing this wonderful song, and sing her heart out and her soul, and then on top of it, wow, I got this piece of artwork. Who'd have known? You're not just one thing. You have creative flow that flows out your fingers as well with your pencils. And what is that? Is that a pencil drawing behind you, or is that some kind of a watercolor or oil?
Yes, it is a watercolor.
Wow, it looks so colorful. It's nice. I don't see it, all the details of it, but it looks beautiful.
I was trying only to go this way, but my arm was a little tired, so I went a little bit that way on my artwork.
Well, I was kind of hoping that you could find a spot for your phone so you could just leave it sitting there so it wouldn't have to jiggle so much. But so far, I've had a good time chit-chatting with you.
I'm home alone. It's just me here. And so it's just me to do the phone, to hold the phone.
Oh, okay. I mean,
me and you, and hopefully all your listeners. And I want to thank everybody out there in comments, and please check out my Whataboutjane and Myidentityband so I can share my artwork with you.
Well, yeah, as we draw this to a close, I suppose, I think we know a little bit about you. I've taken some of your time, but how do the people find out about Whataboutjane and the Myidentityband? Where would you like people to connect with you and buy your songs?
Okay. Well, I'm getting ready to put it out on iTunes, which will be Whataboutjane and Myidentityband. I do also promote a lot on my Twitter page, which is Myidentityband, the @ Myidentityband on Twitter. And my Facebook page is Whataboutjane.
Excellent. Well, I definitely have all those. I found all those. I'll put them all in the show notes so the people know where to click, put their little clickety clicks. Do you have a website at all, or is this all social media?
All social media. I promote on social media. I am a social media person. My Twitter account, Myidentityband, I am constantly out there. Trust me, if you follow me, you'll be like, that Jane loves her Twitter.
Well, I definitely found you there, and I'm very happy that I did. That I'm glad that we connected. Well, if there's no...
And Dan, I
yes,
get you some of my music, too.
Oh, you better believe
you
it.
are the man.
I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. But as we draw this to a close, if are there any other avenues you want to explore? Any more shout outs you want to give? This will be your free time right now.
Yes. I would like to give a shout out to all the guys in the band. Dave Sampson, Jeremy Strait, Stacy Johnson. They are family, and they are my brothers. And I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart of all of our beautiful music we put together and that we share and that we're going to get out. And I would also want to give a good shout out to my Aunt Billy and my mother, who are no longer here. And I know they're watching over me and my music every day and helping me, because I can feel that when I'm writing my songs. And I want to give a big shout out to you, Dan, because you are a fan. And I hope everybody out there is going to the Dan Keys pod, because, Dan, you are the man. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Well, I know those boys in the band, the Myidentityband. I don't know them at all, but I know that they're very smart fellas, because they put a pretty lady up in the front. And that's how you sell records and sell tickets. All right.
Thank you, Dan.
I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. Jane Kaschak. It could be words to live by, something that you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra, or it could be just whatever pops into your head at this crazy moment in time. Jane Kaschak, last words for the people.
Be nice to people. Please be nice. You get more bees with honey, and everybody out there, I believe, has a wonderful soul. And so be nice, because there's a lot of nice people out there. So be one of them.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jane Kaschak of Whataboutjane and Myidentityband. You can have her as a solo or part of a quartet. Can you call a rock band a quartet? I guess they're a four-piece band. Two guitars. She said she's got a lead guitarist and a bassist and a drummer, but then she plays a little guitar too. She rocks the house. And I encourage you to check out her YouTube page and find her on iTunes and buy some of those records. Support that artist. If you have the means, you do it. That's for sure. Man, I'm so happy that I got a chance to talk to Jane Kaschak and find out a little bit more about the person behind the music. Yeah, I know you can go out and listen to her YouTube page and find her on Facebook and definitely follow her on Twitter. She's a good follow at Myidentityband. All those jam those words all together and you'll find her on Twitter. That's where I found her. But you can always look for the music, but I like to find the person behind the music and how they came to be. And between her mom and her aunt, I don't think she stood a chance of anything but finding music. It took a little bit, as she said, to make it her professional gig or go out gigging, but it did come. Eventually it did. But she's always been singing with her mom and her aunt. That's what a great story. Everybody's got a story. That's a beautiful story. Thank you, Jane Kaschak, for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Now, I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.